Hello, everyone. I'm Ramika Vincent Leary, and welcome to this edition of Connecting the Community. What's a good way to enjoy yourself, meet new people, and obtain some education in the process? During this episode, we're exploring fun with festivals. Get ready to be captivated by some amazing events happening in our own backyard. We'll explore the Fred Levin Way Fest and hear more about the foundation that bears this Pensacola icon's name. Plus, we'll take you on a cultural and educational journey as we highlight the Watson Family Foundation's Juneteenth celebration, a family reunion for the culture. But first, we'll take a journey inside WSRE's own backyard with two events we host, Be My Neighbor Day and Amazing Kids Day. It's an honor to welcome Jill Hubbs, General Manager of WSRE. Now up first, it's Be My Neighbor Day. And joining her to discuss this fun-filled event is Jeanette Gatlin, WSRE Foundation Board Member. Welcome to both of you beautiful ladies in green.
Well, thank
Nice
you.
to be
Thank
here.
you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. So Jill, let's start with you. And one thing about you, you approach your job as General Manager with the utmost integrity. So Be My Neighbor Day, take us on a journey back to when it started.
About 5 years ago, WSRE joined some other PBS stations throughout the United States to create an event where we could bring people from the community in and share the resources that PBS has for all our PBS kids, but also to bring members of the community, nonprofit organizations that are designed to help families and children and give them the resources they need or information that they need. And so it's all based on the values, the neighborly values of
Right.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And, when the original Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood no longer aired, the company that had started the program decided, because Fred was gone and they wanted his legacy to live on, so they created the Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. And it's an animated show with the values of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Mr. Rogers. And everybody loves Daniel Tiger. And if you have young children, they know exactly who Daniel Tiger is.
They certainly do. We're going to hear a lot more about that momentarily, but you're in our neighborhood, Jeanette Gatlin. You are a WSRE Foundation board member. What does it mean to you to be a part of all this?
It means that, you're really connecting with the people in your community. You're really reaching out to those that may not be aware about what's going on here, and to enlighten them and show them that there is so much happening in Pensacola, and to bring the community together. So that is something I enjoy doing.
Now, speaking of togetherness, and I volunteer a lot for Be My Neighbor Day, Jill, as you know, I've seen you in the shadows a few years when I was reading books, Dribbles the All-Knowing Cat, and then the cute little children, but you actually explore everything pertaining to the event, and you've shared some excellent observations with us and as a board member. Now, Jill, let's talk about the importance of that community involvement and also honing down on what some people would expect when they walk through the doors at Amos Studio. But of course, there's a lot happening outside too.
It's inside, it's outside. We had over 30 community partners this past year, and many community partners that have been with us since the beginning. And the bottom line, it's about sharing resources for early learning, for health and safety, for just all the things that are there for families they may not have realized, and just having fun. It's about having fun. And bottom line too with Mr. Rogers was about being kind. And just like Ms. Gatlin said, it's about community. What can you do to make your community a better place? What can you do to volunteer or make a difference? We ask everybody that comes to Be My Neighbor Day to bring a food item for the Manna Food Pantry every year. Mr. Rogers would love that we're doing that. But there's fun inside and outside, and it's all hands-on activities for the kids. It really is about being fun, but being kind and being a good neighbor.
Now, I know there are too many community partners to mention. I have a long list right here, but one of the biggest draws, Daniel Tiger, getting that photo op with him. That line wraps around Amos Studio and out the door, doesn't it?
It absolutely, the kids absolutely love Daniel Tiger, but the parents want their picture taken with him too, you know. So he is a very popular PBS character, and you know, just we're pleased to be able to bring this event to the community each year, and each year it gets bigger and bigger. This past year we had over 3,000 children and families show
Monumental.
up. Yes, it was great. It was an awesome day. We had kids performing in it with from the Dixon School of the Arts and Mix and Magic. Yes, you, Ramika, were reading stories and,
Yes,
and
and I
helping
love the
us
little
with the
children.
event. It was just it just was fun. I mean, seeing the kids with the smiles on their faces, you know, outside petting the sheriff's mounted horses. That we have a trolley and a train that from Winterfest, you know. So there's just so much fun and activity, but yeah. It's just a great way of seeing everybody come together and sharing the values and all the great resources that we offer for PBS Kids.
Absolutely. And Jeanette, we want the entire family to come out. We also want volunteers as well, as Jill said. Now, you have children of your own, and when they were youngsters, participating in an event like this, I'm sure just would have been exceptional. But let's fast forward to where you are now. Many people know that you are the mother of Olympic gold medalist Justin Gatlin. Olympics right around the corner in Paris, but there's something new on the horizon for him. So why don't you tell our viewers what that is?
Justin has a book that is coming out very shortly. It's called Ready, Set, Go, which is the same name as his podcast. And it tells parents as well as young athletes what to look out for. Try to educate them in the ups and downs of becoming a professional athlete. As parents, my husband and I have a portion in the book where we try to guide the parents and let the parents know that they have to be there for their children. That is a must.
Absolutely.
There are too many pitfalls without that.
And Jill, you know that all too well with all the amazing things that we have going on at WSRE, and of course with Jeanette Gatlin being a WSRE Foundation board member. I can sense all that love emanating between the two of you. So as we round out the segment, Jeanette, we just want to thank you for joining us to tell us a little bit more about your experiences with Be My Neighbor Day. We appreciate you.
Well, Be My Neighbor's Day was just great. This was my second year doing it. And as Jill said, it was more parents and children there than I expected, because the year before it wasn't as big. But it was wonderful. It was so interesting to see the kids' eyes glow when they got into different activities. They even with the section that they had them with toothbrushes and stuff. They learned good hygiene habits. They learned a lot of things. They also had a reading section inside. They had hair braiding and face painting. The kids were just so excited. And I hope that this upcoming year will be even bigger. It is a community activity that costs you nothing but your time.
And Jill, I see you smiling over there, right?
We're proud to bring, it's a free, family-friendly, fun event. You know, as Ms. Gatlin was saying, you know, there were so many activities, but Pensacola State College was out there with many departments. The cosmetology was doing haircuts. The dental department was the ones demonstrating all the, you know, the toothbrushing and giving out samples and everything. It was just a great way. And, you know, at the end of the day, as tired as everybody was for planning the event and hosting it, it just leaves a good feeling, just like Mr. Rogers would want you to do, you know.
Will you be my neighbor?
Exactly. Will you be my neighbor? We love seeing all of our neighbors come out, and, you know, each year it gets bigger and bigger and better.
And oh yes, Jill, Jeanette Gatlin is such a joy and inspiration, but we have another wonderful event that WSRE sponsors, Amazing Kids Day. We have a surprise guest joining us this segment, Aaron Erskine, community advocate. We'll get to him in just a moment. But Jill, why don't you tell us what Amazing Kids Day is and the purpose behind it?
Well, you know, we were just talking about Be My Neighbor Day, which had this past year, it was over 3,000 people that came and enjoyed that. But we wanted to reach out to families that may have children on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum, or special needs who might be uncomfortable in that environment with so many people with lots of noise and whatever. So, a decision was made to create an event especially for those families that would be a little more sensory friendly, lower key, not as many attendees, and specifically with the agencies and the community organizations that provide resources to those families. And so, a big part of making it happen was Aaron Erskine, who just really believed
the man over there with the bow tie.
Absolutely.
Fabulous.
He ran with the idea and helped us sponsor it and also organize it, and it wouldn't have happened without him, and he has been with us for both of the years that we've done it. We've even expanded over to Okaloosa. We've done it in Escambia County and in Okaloosa, and now because there's so many PBS shows that feature a character that has autism or features dealing with special needs, PBS is interested in our Amazing Kids Day.
Overarchingly.
That's right. So it may spread to other stations. It's a great event.
That idea. It certainly is. Now, Aaron, you're a community advocate. You wear a lot of hats and probably have a vast array of bow ties tucked away somewhere. But I will tell you, there were a lot of people at the event. One lady in particular who brought 2 of her children. And for our viewing audience, her name is Crystal Bedgood, and we're going to hear from her right now.
I have a son that has Down syndrome and a daughter that's autistic. She is having an amazing time. She's experiencing playing with other children, getting involved in activities. Even my son, he's 4 months old, and he's even enjoying being here. Seeing an event like this melts my heart. They have all kinds of organizations here, and one is Healthy Start. And I'm under their program. They will give you different resources, and it's amazing. Having an event like this shows us parents we can be strong, and I have learned so much from today. And I thank y'all tremendously from the bottom of my heart, giving my children a place to come to where they're accepted and they're loved.
Aaron, that just warms my heart. Well, honestly, your reaction to that nice little clip that we saw, is there a word that just brings it home for you?
I think really it's knowing that you love the community that day, and seeing parents that have children that have special needs, and it's something, for instance, I was just a fly on the wall watching her interact with her kids.
Yes.
And to see the joy of a parent seeing their child interacting, it's just a meaningful moment knowing that you touched someone and how much of an impact that it made in their lives.
Well, I know a lot of our viewers are curious. How did you come to know Jill and forge this wonderful relationship?
Well, I'd actually had some friends who have kids that have autism, and they were talking about the difficulties of even going to a movie theater to take their kids to it. So I had done some stuff with WSRE, and I reached out, and initially the idea was, let's just do a movie day. And I probably have ADHD, because anybody and everybody I talk to, I ask them, do you have something you can do at our Amazing Kids Day? So Jill constantly gets phone calls of, hey, I'm at the opera office. Can they come to the Amazing Kids Day? I'm at the ballet. I'm at the symphony. I don't know what surprises I'm going to give you next year, but everybody, it's amazing to see how each organization has some way that they reach out to autism and special needs. And just to have all of these things here for these kids to experience. I think just the fullness of heart, just seeing that these people were loved, overjoyed would be the overarching thing. Yeah.
Jill, I like the fact that PVS overarchingly is thinking about the possibilities of an Amazing Kids Day, right? So there are a lot of community partners that joined us that day. Why don't you talk about some of what they did, the experiences?
You know, that was what was really neat too, that we had dogs that we were reading to. We had therapy dogs. We had music therapy. We had, there was dance. There was, you know, all kinds of little hands-on activities, a whole sensory room that one of our participating organizations provided. And it was just a great way for families to choose different activities, but it was to meet the needs of the children who were there. And, you know, and then again, to share resources. PBS has resources. PBS has quite a few shows like Sesame Street, Arthur, even Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, where there's a character that has autism or special needs. And I think really and truly what the feeling that I had was exactly what Miss Crystal said at the end of her.
Yes.
She just felt like her children and she were accepted and loved. And that, I mean, when I heard her say that, it melted my heart. You know, we've accomplished our mission. We're living our mission by doing that for families in the community.
All right, Aaron, when I saw kids petting dogs and surrounded by these musicians, I thought, wow, this is amazing, because I loved being a musician when I was in high school and in college. But getting back to your community advocacy, there are many other things you do, as I know you wear a lot of hats. So talk a little bit about that outside of Amazing Kids Day.
I think I look at individuals with special needs as just a group that is really worthy of giving to and committing time to. I volunteer and sponsor Miracle League of Santa Rosa. So our teams play on Tuesday nights for the Adult League, and that's really fun. And we're able to invite the younger people to come, you know, to the Amazing Kids Day. And then just other organizations that I'm a part of. But it's really a group when you get involved. I think sometimes you go and you think, I'm the one that's there to serve or to love and do this, but you're the one that goes, and a lot of times you're the one that you feel the love and you really feel the joy of participating in that. And that's what I've found.
Jill, one of the other things I like is that people can visit our website, WSRE.org, find out not only about these events that we've covered in this segment, but other things as well. Is there anything else that you would like to highlight that's on the horizon?
We're always planning, always planning events and activities and sharing resources with teachers and you know, parents, and getting geared up for the new school year. You know, when people do visit our website, they can also link up to pbsparents.org and pbskids.org, where there is a wealth of resources there. I'm a former teacher, and I love the fact that every single show that PBS provides, PBS Kids shows,
yes,
has a curriculum and lesson plans and ideas for parents and books that you could read that, you know, build on what you've learned by watching. So, you know, there's just a lot of resources there. And, you know, and again, these events, you know, it's about bringing the community together. It's about making a difference in the lives of the people that we serve. And it's about just having fun, but, you know, being kind and neighborly.
All right, be my neighbor. Can't thank you all enough. Well, folks, we just highlighted 2 amazing events, and as we head to break, enjoy some additional memories from WSRE's Be My Neighbor Day. We'll be back right after this. Hello, everyone. During this segment, we're shifting gears, highlighting the amazing legacy of Fred Levin, a Pensacola icon. Now, who better to shed light on the foundation that bears his name and the Fred Levin Way Fest than his immediate family? It's a blessing to welcome Brenton Goodman, Fred's grandson. He's joined by Jackie Goodman Martorell, Brenton's sister and Fred's granddaughter. All right, Brenton, I know you're happy to be on set. I could see it all over your face. So take us back to your first or earliest recollection, childhood memory of your grandfather, Fred Levin?
Well, thank you for having us
You're
on.
welcome.
And I'd love to, when I think of my earliest childhood memory of my grandfather, honestly, it's probably in New York. He arranged for the whole family to fly up. He was getting inducted into the World Boxing Hall of Fame and was being honored by the nation of Ghana for helping a Ghanaian boxer named Ike Corte. And so we were in the 29th floor of the United Nations building, sitting
Really?
there watching my grandfather come down with a scepter and a crown and gold
Traditional.
sandals, and everyone praising him for what he did for this boxer. And I really think that that's a wonderful story to reflect on about my grandfather, and that was a great first impression because I got to see what people saw in him, which was that he was always willing to work for those that other people might have discarded. And in this case, Ike Corte, and luckily he was able to help him reach great heights.
Interesting caveat. So we know that your grandfather was multifaceted. He also managed Pensacola native Roy Jones Jr. Do you have any memories about that?
Yes, yeah, actually, very much so. Of course, growing up in that kind of atmosphere, I loved boxing, I loved Roy, and so all I wanted was to have Roy come to a birthday party. And one year my grandfather arranged to let me and all my friends go and train at Roy's boxing ring. And we were told, hey, listen, Roy can't make it, but Smoke Gaynor's going to be there. And of course, Smoke Gaynor was also an amazing boxer, and so we were so excited. And Smoke came, and we were all having a great time. And unbeknownst to us, Roy had actually flown in that day and just took it upon himself to come in with my grandfather and let us all take pot shots at him, and none of us hurt him.
But did he pretend you hurt him?
But he did. He did.
Okay, one of those scenarios.
And we just have great memories like that, and him coming over to the house with all different kinds of celebrities, whether it's Muhammad Ali or anyone else, and it was wonderful growing up around my grandfather.
Brenton, we're just getting started. A lot more to unpack, but Jackie, stepping over into your world. Now, you're probably thinking about a few things, but what is your first recollection, early childhood, of your grandfather?
My first recollection of my grandfather is that every Thanksgiving, so we would host, still do, my mother hosts Thanksgiving at our house for the whole family, anywhere from 25 to 50. We have a very broad definition of family. So, if you know us and love us, you're family. And if we know and love you, you're family. So 25, 50, 75 people come over for Thanksgiving every year. And we would put on a puppet show. We had a little puppet theater that we had gotten for Hanukkah the previous year. And I was very excited to put on this puppet show for my family. And Grandpa jumped right in behind the curtain of the puppet theater, put on a little wolf puppet, and joined right in my retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. It just no airs, no pretension. He was just Grandpa.
Guy. Now I know you remember that, Brenton. I hear you laughing over there.
Very much so.
But here's the thing, Brenton, we have to segue into the fact that you now work at Levin Papantonio Rafferty, and your thirst for law, I would imagine that he had something to do with it. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, really it was him as well as our parents. Both our parents were attorneys and both ended up becoming judges. And watching the three of them, discuss what they were doing for individuals in the community was really something that I grew up with and always enjoyed listening to. And so when I saw the impact that they were able to make with their own jobs, it's something that I always knew I wanted to do something similar to that. And so after graduating from Davidson College with a philosophy degree, I really had nothing else I could do besides go to law school. And I did that. I fell in love with the law and luckily made my way after the state attorney's office to Levin Papantonio Law Firm, where I've just been doing personal injury, so motor vehicle wrecks, slip and falls, any type of general liability issues, and I've just really loved it because it's the arm of the Levin Papantonio that stays local with the community. And so no matter how national or worldwide the firm gets, we always maintain a foothold in the community, and I love being a part of that.
Well, a little history, speaking of bolstering others up, in the 2014 authorized biography written by Josh Young, he tells the story of your father's foray, the University of Florida, and his relationship with the first black law student, George Stark. Now, interestingly, as you know, your grandfather started at the bottom of the class, then worked his way up to the top of the class. Did he ever talk to you about that scenario?
So he did, and the funny thing is, most people that know my grandfather see him as very braggadocious, right? And one of the most known sayings was never get in between Fred Levin and a camera, because he always loved to talk about himself. And so he would talk about his times in college and even in high school, where he was a state champion basketball player and, according to him, a city champion in ping pong. But what he would basically tell us was that it was a different time. He just worked hard and did what he could. But luckily we had individuals like George Stark who would talk on what happened to him and what my grandfather did. And we had this book come out that really gave us more detail than we ever got, or at least than I ever got from my grandfather.
Interesting thing that George Stark, 10 minutes late for an exam, was not allowed to take it, did not graduate, but he did earn a degree. He was given a degree later on in life, but he mentored George Stark, and others were reluctant initially, but they saw your grandfather's love and compassion, and then others just started to wrap their arms around George. When I read about that, I was so very moved, very much so. Now, Jackie, I saw you shaking your head, maybe no, disagreeing with a few things that your brother said, Jackie, but I will say this. I know that you cannot light a candle to pretty much what Fred did with the Fred Levin Way Foundation. So we're going to segue into your grandfather's work with that. So what would you like our viewing audience to know about that? Because there is a lot of history.
I was shaking my head because I'd never heard the ping pong story. What did you say, state champion?
City champion.
Oh, city champion. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. It could be true. I mean, you never know. Fred Levin Way Foundation started in 1992, and it has expanded after the passing of my grandmother Marilyn and my grandfather Fred, to focus on the things that they loved most. My grandmother was a huge advocate for children and children's issues. My grandfather loved the Pensacola community. He would often say, he could live and work anywhere else in the country, anywhere else in the world, and he had no desire to. He always wanted to be in Pensacola and give back to Pensacola. And that's what the foundation and Fred Levin Way Fest are all about.
Interesting thing that I read about the early days of the foundation, millions of dollars given to various organizations, and then after his passing in 2021, more emphasis placed on the Fred Levin Way Fest. But interestingly, your grandparents met at the University of Florida, and from what I read in the book, Josh Young saying that your grandfather thought, well, she was maybe 10 steps above him, but right? But they met and they got married, had the fairy tale romance. But one of the things that he would say was he would regret sometimes how much he had to work. Did he ever talk to you about those things?
He did, and he did. I had the great honor. So I'm the member of the family that did not go into law.
Oh,
I'm a registered nurse, and I had the great honor of helping take care of him when he started having some health problems. Everybody knows that he famously beat brain cancer,
yes.
And so I was able to help take care of him while he was doing that. And so I had a unique opportunity to have some one-on-one time with him that I didn't necessarily have growing up. There were 5 of us grandkids. There are now 7. And so everybody was kind of fighting for Grandpa's attention. But he did talk about that he regretted not missing graduations, missing sports games, and that and he always made an effort to try to rectify that as much as he could with my brother and I and our cousins, coming to as many sports games, theater performances for me, anything he possibly could come to, he was there.
One of the things that I really liked about your grandfather, he had such a big heart and he loved people in general. And I'm coming back to you, Brenton, because we have somebody coming up in our next segment, Aaron Watson with the Watson Firm PLLC. And actually, Fred Levin served as a mentor to Aaron Watson. I mean, he's just grabbing people and loving on them. One of the things that I also loved about your grandfather, he didn't hold on to his money. He had this saying that he said, give it now while you're living. What would you say to that?
I mean, that sounds like him. He loved to spend and loved to spend on others. You know, he wanted to make sure that he was having a good time, but that he was dragging along anyone and everyone who was around him. And he didn't care if you were a vice president nominee. He didn't care if you were a world famous quarterback or if you were just the person that, you know, happened to be on the street when he was walking by. He treated everyone the same, and he spent his money to help everyone, no matter who they were, which is kind of what the Fred Levin Way Fest was, you know, tried to encompass when we all first started it.
So Jackie, we want our viewers to really get an idea of the experience of attending the Fred Levin Way Fest. Why don't you give us a day in the morning and into the afternoon, what a person could expect going there, right?
It is a full day of fun. My favorite part about the festival is that you don't have to have any money at all to attend.
Free.
Everything. Everyone gets a meal ticket. You get a free meal. You get a free treat, either something like a popcorn or an ice cream. There's over 60 not-for-profit organizations that are there discussing all of the things that they are doing for the community, giving away necessary items. I mean, we gave away tens of thousands of diapers, toiletry kit, feminine hygiene kits, dog food. I can't even think of the list off the top of my head. It's all on the website. But you come and you just walk through the streets of downtown Pensacola and learn about all of these not-for-profits and what they're doing for the community. Maybe there's something that you can use and you and your family can use. Maybe there's a place that you and your family wish to volunteer your time, and you enjoy free music, free food, free entertainment. Last year we had races, we had inflatable games, we had face painting for the kids. It's a ton of fun. You're gonna have a good time.
Well, I believe you because WSRE PBS Kids on site,
Yep.
right? And we certainly loved it. Our general manager, Jill Hubbs. And there were some amazing sights and sounds. Speakers like Roy Jones Jr., Lumen May, and others in and around the Pensacola area singing, dancing, as you said. Brenton, I know that you love it. So do you mirror what your sister is saying regarding the experience?
Oh, it's a once in a lifetime and one of a kind experience, and I say that because each year we're trying to get better than what we did the year before. This next year will be our 4th year, and you know, each year is something different. Not only because it grows from 3,000 to 5,000, we had 10,000 people this past year, but in what we're trying to do. And you know, I completely echo what my sister says, which is that it's a wonderful experience and wonderful time because you just don't see so many people in one area who are all there for the same reason, which is to enjoy each other's company, to enjoy the weather, and to be there to help each other and to find what they need.
And as you say that, I'm thinking back to 2021 when I heard about your grandfather's passing, and he is such an amazing person, and I'm using is because he's in my heart, in the hearts and minds of so many as I know, but he would definitely be so proud of the legacy. I know that you have recollections. You hear from people that attend the Fred Levin Way Fest. Give us an example or two of maybe somebody that you've run into, a story that you've heard, hey, just out and about at the festival.
Well, I'll give you 2 stories. You asked for a couple. One I'll give from a vendor.
Okay.
We had a vendor that was reluctant because what we did when when we really focused on putting everything together for this festival, we went to all the community organizations that were coming in, and we asked them, what do the people who you serve need? Right? We didn't want to dictate what we thought was needed. We wanted the people on the ground to tell us. And so one thing that we heard constantly was toilet paper. And so we'd asked an outside organization coming in to provide it, and they were upset at first. They thought no one's going to come, and they ended up serving at that time 10,000 rolls on that same day. And so they came up to us afterwards and they said, we really feel special because we didn't realize people needed this, and people were coming saying that they were out of toilet paper and couldn't afford it because they had other bills, and they just realized that this was a necessity that the people absolutely were without. And so hearing that story was wonderful because they realized how important the event was. On the other end, I think my sister was the one who actually told me this story, but we had children in line for ice cream, and they went up and they expected, like in other events where you get free ice cream, that you go up to the truck and there's what regular people can get who can pay and the scoop for those that can't. And then when the person at the food truck said, no, whatever you want, you can have, she was just elated and excited and couldn't believe it, and was able to get whatever she wanted. And just seeing that sort of joy out of the people who are coming to our event is also something that it's priceless.
We think about at the height of the COVID pandemic, toilet paper, the headlines that we saw, people could not acquire it, right,
Yeah.
Jackie? So we don't take these things for granted, do we? And when we're able to reach beyond ourselves to help others, free food, entertainment, prizes. Talk about some of the prizes, the giveaways. I know that people are amazed when they find out, wow, I get free food and then there's something extra.
Yes. So the prizes are, that is my mom and my aunts. That is their baby is the prize. We'll start it out as a small prize area. It is now the entire first floor of the garage at the parking garage at Levin Papantonio Rafferty. And all throughout the year, my mom and my aunts are scouring Facebook Marketplace, bargain stores, sales to find toys. One thing that they had heard from one of the children's organizations, I can't recall which one, was that something that children got a lot of were used toys. Is it during toy drives, people bring in gently used and with the best intentions, but that for a lot of underprivileged children that they've never had a brand new toy. And that just, it broke our hearts. And so my mom and my aunts were like, well, we're going to make sure that no child leaves the Fred Levin Way Fest without a brand new toy. So throughout the year, like I said, they buy thousands. We have a warehouse filled with toys and tablets and arts and crafts projects and science experiments. Anything that you could possibly want for kids of all ages, all genders, all interests who come in, and as a family, you need to visit a certain number of booths, collect those. You go around and you collect stickers or stamps on a festival passport. And once you do that, you bring it to the prize redemption area, and each child gets to pick out a gift, whatever they'd like, brand new gift to go home with.
And I'll just add on, the whole reason for this event was to try to figure out a way to bring attention to all the organizations in our community that help our community. And we thought, what was the way that we could get people there who might be able to donate their time or money, as well as people there that might need these items. And so what we did for the people that that could donate time and money is we made it a fun festival that they would want to come down to in downtown Pensacola. For those that may need something, we said, let's make sure that everything is provided and give you the opportunity to go to all these places. And if you do, then you get these wonderful toys as well.
And I love it. Thank you both so very much. What a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. Folks, we're having an amazing time highlighting some exceptional events. That's why I'd like to take a moment to pay homage to Dr. Tony Anderson Steele, outgoing chair of Pensacola State College's Black History Multicultural Committee. She held her last event at the college a short time ago. With over 20 years of service to PSC and the community, we want to share some highlights from PSC's Juneteenth event that she spearheaded. As we head to break, always remember how much your hard work is appreciated, Dr. Tony Anderson Steele. Much love. We'll be back right after this. Hello, everyone. You just saw some amazing sights from PSC's Juneteenth celebration. But now we're expanding the joy by highlighting the Watson Family Foundation's third annual Juneteenth event, a family reunion for the culture. Get ready for some captivating revelations and a few surprises. I'm happy to introduce Kimberly Watson, Vice President of the Watson firm PLLC. She's joined by her husband, attorney Aaron Watson, the founder of the law firm. Plus, it's a pleasure to welcome Fallon Earlington, the brains behind soulful movement, Spirit of Excellence. Now, we'll find out more about that in just a bit, but Kimberly, let's start with you. So I was perusing a beautiful Bella magazine article, and in it talks about how you and your husband came up with the idea for this Juneteenth celebration, but I read that you were the one that presented it because you wanted to do more. So tell us the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, so my husband and I were always thinking about ways to give back to the community. So we were brainstorming, we were having a meeting at our office, and then I brought up the idea of, oh, why don't we throw a Juneteenth festival? I would see it in all these major cities, and at the time, it had just became a federal holiday. So I was like, this is something we can do for the community to give back scholarships, highlight local businesses, and that's exactly what we did.
Now, here's the thing. You are so savvy. So it's you're number 3. Now, location. We hear that all the time, right, Aaron, right, Fallon? Yeah. That means a lot. So the location, Museum Plaza, which I think is prime. Your thoughts about that and how that came together?
So that came together because we partnered with UWF Historic Trust. They offered us that space because they believed in what we were doing. And then it was also, it's also symbolic because it's behind the T.T. Wentworth Museum, where they used to have KKK cloths and everything in that museum. So, you know, Black people weren't allowed in that area.
Right.
Yeah, back then, and now we're able to celebrate freedom and everything in that space.
Speaking of freedom, Aaron, you got up at the celebration. You gave a little historical perspective regarding Juneteenth. Why don't you give us a little snapshot?
Yeah, snapshot. You know, Juneteenth is a celebration of freedom. You know, and every American celebrates and enjoys freedom. That's something that we can all celebrate. And so it's a celebration of the good news. When, you know, the Union troops came down to Texas and told the remaining slaves who were still working, you know, they hadn't received the news yet that they were free, that, hey, you know, there's a proclamation. You don't have to work here unless you work for pay now. You're free. And so it's a celebration of that good news.
But here's the thing. So you're partnering with your beautiful wife, and I happen to read something on social media. Kim, you might laugh. He was first in the friend zone, but then he was elevated to another realm. I don't know. I read that. I smile because I like that.
Yeah, I was in the friend zone.
He jumped and leaped out of the friend
He
zone.
left out of the friend zone into another realm.
Persistence pays off. You know?
Oh yeah, persistence does. But
Yeah.
listen, the fact that you are able to work so well together speaks volumes because you share the love in the mission and you're just seeking ways to better our community. Speaking of which, that's where you come into play, Fallon.
Yes.
Now, Fallon not only did soulful movement, spirit of excellence dancers, and you're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. They performed at the Juneteenth celebration, but also at our PSC Juneteenth celebration and a host of many other events that the college has put on over the years. So tell us about the dancers, about the name, and how that came to fruition.
So Soulful Movement started in 2017. It started from church ministry, and I wanted to give the community something, you know, teach kids that are underprivileged fine arts that may not be able to afford fine art technique. So that's how it started. And then we just branched out, started being more in the community, involved more in the community, and including kids from all aspects of life.
We're going to unveil something pretty exciting in just a moment. But Kim, I've got to come back to you because listen, Pensacola State College was so happy to be a part of the event and our first ever scholarship recipient. I mean, we were just so honored that you thought about us, right, regarding
Thank you all for
the
partnering with us.
scholarship. But Lakeisha Ball is her name, and she wrote about the Reverend H.K. Matthews, a very prominent civil rights leader in our area, and I teach in the business department at Pensacola State College, and ironically, Lakeisha is a student in the business department. So if you're watching, Lakeisha, I might have you as a student later on. But getting back to the scholarship, not only did you award one to a PSC student, but also a University of West Florida student named Sydney Ryan. I just love the fact that these students were given an opportunity with inflation and people struggling to, I don't know, sometimes even buy groceries, and some ponder the idea of an education and how that's going to come about. But we are just over the moon with excitement regarding that. But we have to talk about some other things, Aaron, because normally every year when I've been there, I see you walking around. Either you have your phone or a camera or something, you're getting video, you're taking pictures. I want us to go down a little bit of, I call a laundry list of what people experienced that day. Of course, we were at our PSC table loving it, but whole hog. Okay, we've got to talk about a whole hog.
Certainly. You know, Kim and I go live every year. And I was just showing you the video. There was like 68,000 views on that video. It was crazy, you know, but we invite some of our friends to come out and with several business owners, food trucks. But the one that's my favorite is the whole hog, you know. I mean, it's the pig with the apple in the mouth, and
the whole 9 yards.
They smoke it, I think, all night, you know. And so when it's ready to serve, we do a presentation that's like a Juneteenth tradition, and it's free, you know, to everybody that comes out. And listen, when that hog came out, Ramika, it was so good.
I'm sure you gave some to Kim first, right? Hopefully you first. Okay.
The smoke just permeated all throughout. It was some of the best meat I've had, but it was great experience.
Listen, sweet potato pie. Listen, a pumpkin pie can't hold a candle to a sweet potato pie for me. I'm sorry, Fallon, just saying. I mean, I love my sweet potato pie. You had a wonderful contest. Now, there was also something interesting this year, Family Feud. Why don't you talk about that? I love Family Feud, by the way.
So Family Feud was one of Kim's ideas. Let me tell you something. The entire Juneteenth planning, when I come home, Kim has a laptop out and she's planning, working, you know, and she mentioned to me, I want to do Family Feud this year. And I'm like, Family Feud, you know, and she happened to find an actual setup for it and got the DJ with the TV screen and put it all together. And it was amazing. I mean, you know, the families enjoyed it, answering trivia questions. It was a great event this year.
Well, Kim, segueing right from what you're saying, Aaron, I noticed that we had African clothing vendors. I saw some fresh lemonade. Listen, popcorn. I love some popcorn. All the food trucks too that came out in support. Why don't you talk about some of the other vendors and organizations that were there?
Yeah, so there was a lot of different African-American owned businesses. We had like Family Ties, some, you know, local favorites, G-Man on the Go. we had a lot of different vendors, like the African clothing vendor
Yes.
you mentioned.
And this is one of her dresses, by the way.
Yeah, she has some amazing
Beautiful.
stuff. And she travels
Yes.
all the way from Liberia to bring those items there. So we just tried to highlight a lot of local businesses.
Well, I saw this one. I said, I better strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Somebody will grab it before I do, I know. But community partnerships. Now, the city of Pensacola, I saw the mayor out there, right?
Yeah.
Mayor Reeves. I was like, hi, how you doing?
Yeah,
I mean, he was making the rounds,
Very
everyone
supportive.
else. But there were kids. Let's talk about the children, because we had PBS kids at our tent. Kids out there, they're throwing balls and they're having fun and they're writing on the sidewalk with their chalk. But the jump castles, right?
Yeah.
And the kids zone. So you want to expand a little bit on that, because we had the face painting and other elements.
Yeah, we had face painting. We had interactive blue blocks over there, obstacle course. We also gave away free books. There was free educational resources. So we tried to make it a place that was fun for the kids, and they were also receiving some sort of educational tools as well.
And the characters who were out there.
Oh yeah,
as
we had
well.
live characters. Princess Tiana
Oh,
out
yes,
there.
the princess. Oh,
Yeah.
so gorgeous,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful attire.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of kings and queens, well, you all, king, queen, but let's talk about Fred Levin for just a moment.
Yeah.
Because our previous segment highlighted what's happening in that realm.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned in the previous segment that Fred Levin was your mentor, but you have a little something that you would like to add to that story, so why don't you?
Yeah, you know, Fred, to work with him and to try cases with him was a dream of mine. You know, I remember when my first few days there, when he came into my office and said, I want to mentor you, you know. And, you know, it's like Michael Jordan or somebody coming and saying, hey, I want to show you how to play basketball, you know. And he took me underneath his wing. You know, when I proposed to Kim, Fred took me to the jewelry store, you know, and he didn't buy the ring, but he walked there with me. He was at my wedding. He was at my grand opening, you know, when I opened the Watson firm.
Yes.
And so, you know, we've had chances to try cases together. You know, I got some funny stories there, but
I might circle back.
I'll save them. But a very, very dear friend, mentor, you know, and I think of him often. I have a picture in my office of him right now.
Amazing. Now, Fallon, we have to unpack the situation with
Yes.
Soulful Movement, Spirit of Excellence. I heard, now this is me on social media, and I'm scrolling. I hear something about a trip to Atlanta. Tell us about the invitation, what happened, and where you are now.
So I've been wanting to do How Sweet the Sound since 2017.
And what is it exactly?
It is actually a gospel competition. It's America's #1 gospel competition. They have choirs, large choirs, small choirs, soloists, spoken word artists, and praise
Okay.
dancing. So I just happened to submit a video just to see, because I said it's a long shot, but I did. And then I got the approval letter on my work email.
All
and I'm
right.
like, what in the world? I was so ecstatic about it because we got selected out of 900 teams
Really?
nationwide.
Nationwide?
So, yes.
I will tell you, Fallon, we have some amazing footage of the dancers, and I want you to talk about the dancers, and I'm sure that we'll have this video footage, but just
Yes.
tell us about who they are and why they decided to be a part of this.
Oh, they were all voluntarily involved. Like Christian, he is the
male dancer.
Yes, the male
Yes.
dancer. He is in the reserves. He also is an adult. So he came a part of our program back in 2018. His mother kept on writing me on Facebook, can you please coach my son? Can you please coach my son? And I've only dealt with female dancers, so I told his mom no a few times. His mom
She was
literally
persistent.
yes. And I said, just bring him. So Christian is one of my long-term dancers.
All right.
Yes.
Now,
So-
the song Deliver Me that they danced to during their performance, it was a showstopper.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
So they have a list that you have to pick from. So Deliver Me was on our audition video. So that's one of the songs that we picked, but we had to pick from 5 other songs. So that happened to be the one that they picked. There were 5 other songs that we could have been chosen for, but they just randomly picked it.
Now, here's the thing. How long did you have to prepare? They picked the song and then...
We already ministered to it or danced to it prior to, so it was easy, thank God. But they had like 100 songs, so most of them we've danced to before, and I tried to pick the ones that we already kind of knew.
So what was
But-
the time frame between you realizing you had Deliver Me and then the competition?
No, they gave us enough time, thank God.
Hopefully.
But they told us in January what the song was going to be.
Okay.
And, of course, it wasn't until June.
That the competition happened and you won a cash award. And listen, on TV, sky's the limit, I know.
Yes.
So
yes.
we will definitely stay tuned for that. Now, Kimberly, back to you, because I know that you hear stories of people who have attended the Juneteenth event and have also benefited from the Watson Family Foundation. There's the turkey giveaway, right? Yeah, the backpack giveaway. So there's much more.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to talk about that a little?
Yes, I mean, like you said, we give away 1,000 turkeys and sides each year, hams. We've given away scholarships, not only at the our Juneteenth festival, but back to school scholarships. We've done like essay contests and given away school supplies
And
as well.
laptops. We have the
Oh, yeah,
laptop giveaway
laptops,
coming up
yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
All right, I hope you're listening out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Laptop
yeah,
giveaway.
yeah,
I like the
yeah.
word free. I know they do too.
Yeah.
Laptops, shall I say?
Yeah,
Not just one,
okay,
laptops.
plural, right?
Yeah.
So mentorships, Aaron, and I know that's a part of the Watson Family Foundation.
Definitely.
You had your mentor.
Yeah. I think mentorship is just important. It's important for people to see success. Just like you look on TV and you see celebrities out there and football players, I make it a point to make sure that I'm visible. Just like Fred was visible to me, Willie Gary was visible to me, so that they can see that if you can do it, if I did it, you can do it too. So it's very important.
I like that. And that can-do attitude.
Yeah.
Seen memories of Fred Levin right over here. Now, family, you can do it, I can do it.
Yes.
Words of encouragement. Now, out of 900, right? You were selected and then you won.
Yes.
So what would you tell someone who's scratching their heads thinking, well, should I submit? Can I do
Have
it?
faith. Have faith in what God is giving you. That's the thing that I direct myself on. Our motto is, this is a move. And I always if I feel it in my heart to do it, I do it. And I don't let anybody tell me I can't do anything, because I am a overcomer.
And Kim, what about a couple of words of wisdom, just something brief for anybody out there who's seeking a goal?
When I started the Juneteenth festival, I never planned a festival before. So I would say, if you have a goal, to just go after it. Put one foot in front of the other, and if you're passionate about it, you'll make it happen.
And it has happened. Yeah. And Aaron, all right, coming into your world, talk about, advice, right?
Yeah. I had the opportunity to work with some great people. I was thinking about, you mentioned Fred. Fred and I had a case together where we lost, and I remember him saying, hey, we're going to go back in there and try the case again. We tried it again and won, And I think about Fred saying, keep pushing. You can do anything that you set your mind to. You're an overcomer, and so, cheers to him.
All right, and cheers to all
of
you
us,
as well. We appreciate you so much. Now, folks, I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us. I'm Ramika Vincent Leary. Remember to keep it locked in right here on WSRE, PBS for the Gulf Coast.